G'day everyone. In my belief, somewhere way down deep in our centre, we know what assistances would provide us with best service.
At ACTNOW, Aboriginal ways of knowing and doing become central. We shift conversations to focus on community strengths to ensure the Aboriginal voice is being heard. It's about challenging assumptions and changing thoughts. It's about yarning and listening.
I believe that our community should know about this. It's a social reform, it's a big social reform. We should know about it, all of us people. We should understand what it means. We should know who's making these decisions, who's involved, and are we appropriately represented in those decision-making processes.
Key themes to come out of ACTNOW 1 were diversity, culture, strengths and connections. These themes were then broken down into strategies that could be implemented by the regions. It was about listening to the Aboriginal voice as distinct voices. It was about reflecting on your practice, supporting community-driven initiatives and engaging with our elders, developing community hubs where we can, and understanding that relationships really do drive our communities.
The NDIA have learnt from their operation in the Hunter trial over the last 3 years. They've engaged differently with Aboriginal communities in the trial, and hopefully that engagement will improve the participation rates there.
What can they learn from those pilot sites to ensure that they benefit and their families benefit from the NDIS?
And it's a two-way information sharing process. You don't want talking heads up there going, oh, it's going to be this way, that way. It's that small group discussion where people talk about their experience with the disability service system, their experience with their family, their experience with their community, and making sure that message comes back to the people who are designing the system, like me.
One thing that's really stuck in my head is to listen, but to listen to understand, not listen just to respond.
Many community members struggle with the way in which the plans are written, and there's a lot of variety between the planners, and so the role of the service is to get into the nuts and bolts of what really is the essence of the goals that the people have identified, whether it's housing, whether it's assistive devices, community access, connections to country and culture. We focus much more on the nuts and bolts of what was said in the meeting by the people rather than what might have been captured. So without seeming to be disrespectful to the planner and the scheme and the process, what works in the everyday for people is to pluck out the essence of the goal and to find ways to work with the person on a very, very close local level.
So really trust that those families are the professionals in understanding what works for them now and what needs to be supported now, and then work progressively towards being more independent and you know, living the life that they want to live.
We actually based much of the program on the findings from the yarning about disability consultations that occurred across the state. It was all about the transition to the NDIS and how we could be better prepared. Again, we used short stories, yarning circles, interactive workshops, feedback sessions, deadly culture time, and of course our digital stories, which are so powerful.
I think the peer-to-peer support is really important. You know, like I think where we've seen a lot of quite innovative, say, work happening is often where there's groups of people with disability who are sharing their own stories together about what their experience with the scheme is or has been or they would like to be.
What did people want to know? Well, they wanted to know information and they wanted to be heard. They wanted access to timely and appropriate information, and we all know that that's still not happening. That is still a real issue in our communities. They wanted community collaboration, local responses and engagement. They wanted you to please understand the uniqueness of each of our communities. And in these communities, you need to identify key connectors and then set up continued dialogue with those connectors.
We had a wonderful opportunity given to us to be able to attend here to learn about the NDIS for Aboriginal people.
I just wanted to see what I'm preparing for when the NDIS comes around. You know, be prepared and ask what I'm able to get out of the NDIS when it comes up to the Armidale area. And
I think the ACTNOW gatherings are incredibly important. They're unique. This is the only place that this particular sort of gathering has been happening consistently.
Just a bit of a history about ACTNOW. It started in 2011, the old Adelaide Northern region. We had a bit of funding, so we decided to do a relationship building project. That was not a personal project of mine, it was actually about trying to increase the relationship between our non-Gully sector and Aboriginal communities. It was about facilitating positive change, bringing people together in a safe, friendly environment, people telling stories about their concerns, insights, ideas and solutions.
It's been a fabulous time here, but being with Matthew and Shirley, I've learned an awful lot as a support worker as what is actually needed when they're going in to make plans.
I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
There's a lot of input and that's wonderful, isn't it? Knowledge is always good.
But come down here and talk to us in our language so we can hold you accountable, so that way we can ensure that the findings from that research will benefit us to roll out the NDIS.
I believe that to keep it simple, to keep it story, and to give time. We need time and we need more gatherings.
To get the understanding of what they mean, they need to break it down for some people to understand exactly what they're on about. And then again, that needs to be broken down again to simple little words.
And we've developed a bit of a kit bag that we take with us to be ready to try and translate some of the language of the scheme into more straightforward concepts, so that people can really start to understand and take some ownership over the direction.
The doctor, when he came in and told us that our son was Down syndrome, he also, when he walked in that room, he gave, walked in with papers to sign our son over. Well, I told him what to do with the papers.
No one never helped me, even in Narrabri, when I lived there. And I come back home a couple of years ago.
You take your baby home and you've got 20 government departments sweating on you to do something wrong, but you've never been taught anything about the problem or shown how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Now that's a bit double jeopardy on the government's behalf, in my opinion.
It was different when I was young. I was in a home for crippled kids, yeah, in Brisbane. 3 years.
We've only just found out recently that there's funding available, and through a friend nominating us, in the last 6 weeks, after 14 years nearly, we have some funding for our son.
Because for so long people have been managing the impact of the disability on their own, using the means they've got. So for many people, getting help and having service providers and equipment, support workers is such a new and foreign concept.
Because I was just at Sydney Airport last week and they tried to take my skateboard away from me. And so I told the gentleman, I can't hear you, I've got no legs.
I would encourage people who live with a disability to try to bring people around them that might have had some experience or that are really genuinely on their side. So I guess what I'm identifying is there's a, from my way of thinking, a great need for advocacy that just isn't there.
When the assessments do come about, they'll go, yes, I can do this, yes, no, yes, 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 I can do this, and unless there is a support worker with them or a family member, anyone that can turn around and say, look, no, they really need support in this area, we need to go back. I'm really worried that they might do themselves out of the necessary funding. So I am worried about that. I do believe the NDIS is letting support workers go in with them now, which is fabulous, and that's why I think the assessors that are doing the assessments need to break it down. The guys want to be part of the community. They want their life. They want to be able to do everything that they want to do, and this should be able to get them there.
I see myself just being like any normal person, really, living in their own home, working, being independent. That's what I really want, is to be taking care of myself, because one day my parents won't be around to look after me. So I have to prepare and try and be able to look after myself. And I want to work, and I want to be living in my own home, and I just want my own life.
It would help me to do what I've always wanted to do, is have the funding to help me become a veterinarian and do the courses that I have to do in ways that I wouldn't be able to do it.
And here we are at ACTNOW 3. The NDIS is here. I'm going to be really selfish on this one. I'm going to tell you what I want to get out of ACTNOW 3. I want the maximum benefit for our mob from NDIS. I want to create a standard for cultural proficiency. I want to have more representative workforce in the NDIS. I want to define and establish strategies to ensure adequate community involvement, to focus needs on involving our mob in planning, working together, evaluating results and educating stakeholders.
We have a plan with Red Ink now in 6 weeks, from nothing, knowing nothing, getting nothing, doing nothing, to a plan where we can actually now take the pressure off us when we die, and he's not going to be a burden to his brothers and sisters. He's going to live an independent life. We know now he has a direction, and he has people out there to help him. And you'll find 95%, even 98% of the people that have disabilities that can do something are busting to do something. They're busting more than the average bloke on the street. And why not help them? Why not? We are that much.
This is what I've really been waiting for. My own opportunity to go out there, be in a workplace and be just like a normal person.
My heart's broken, it's on the floor. Marie, she's